I watched the film in order to find the 5 biggest sleepers for 2025 Dynasty rookie drafts. So we're going to be hopping to the film room and also backing that up, crossing the bridge with some advanced stats. Starting off, we have Cam Scaccia, the running back out of Arizona State. Now, he's a pretty popular name in the college football community, but the Dynasty community hasn't really come around to him yet. I've seen him out of the top 24 in a lot of rankings and mock drafts. And the question that a lot of people have with Scaccia is he an NFL athlete? So, coming out, he broke out as a senior, had 1,711 yards, 5.8 yards per carry, 21 touchdowns. Also a very good receiver. 45 receptions for 605 yards. And he really dominated against Texas in the college football playoffs, which is a big question people had. On top of that, the conference for ASU, fairly weak, not good competition before that. But 143 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, also caught 8 passes for 99 yards. And when watching Scaccia on film, he just wins by being insanely physical. He is extremely strong. He has great one-on-one moves, and obviously he can run a guy over. That is his calling card. But he has surprisingly good jump cuts. He has surprisingly good juke moves. He can make a man miss in open field, which is kind of surprising, him being a bigger, run a man over type back. Also has fantastic contact balance, does not go down on the first tackle. I think that's pretty evident if you've ever seen him play. The question with Scaccia is he doesn't have NFL speed. He's not really an NFL athlete, so he's not a home run hitter either. Can't break out these big plays. He's not very, agile and explosive in general, but I see him with similar upside to a Kyren Williams-esque player. Now, he's not going to be an elite athlete. He's probably going to run in the 4.6s, but similar to Kyren, he's just a very physical back, and I think he's has the upside to be an elite pass catcher. I mean, when looking at Scaccia on film, it's not like he's just running screen passes. He's not running just swing routes. No, he has a fully developed route tree. I've seen him run angle routes out of the backfield. You saw him that big game against Texas. Had a deep wheel route. Like, he is a good route runner. His hands are very soft, and that's backed up by elite receiving production. So, really like Scaccia. You want to target running backs that are great pass catchers, and while you may have a little risk of how his running style will translate to the NFL, he's a fantastic pass catcher. And then you have the ability to, if he can kind of just translate that meanness, that tough running style to the NFL, you could have a star in the making with Scaccia. And he's still being pretty underrated by the Dynasty community right now. Now, my second player is going to be Jaden Higgins, wide receiver out of Iowa State. And, he wasn't bad as a junior, had 933 yards, so pretty solid season. But he really broke out in his senior year. 87 catches, 1,183 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Now, I love the athletic profile with Higgins. He's 6'4", 215, and runs pretty well for his size. I mean, the route running is good. It's not great, but for being that big, I think it is more than good enough. Uses his body extremely well to create separation. Now, being a bigger body receiver, you actually have to use it because your route running is going to be naturally capped. But he understands that he is a big frame receiver and is able to get that position, use his big frame to box defenders out, per se. Also a good red zone threat. I think that's something I'm starting to look for fantasy football. Being, using the red zone in college is pretty translatable, not one-to-one, but if you're not using college and then those touchdowns don't start coming in the NFL, there's a good chance that it's not going to happen. So touchdowns, they are volatile. We get that for fantasy football. But at the same time, guys that are just talented in the red zone and will get a similar opportunity in the NFL is something that I'm definitely noting and something I definitely want to shoot for. Now, the issues, the downside with Higgins, why he's still being a little undervalued is the speed is just expected, though, for his size, so I don't really care too much. Not a big down the field threat. Again, I don't think that really matters as much for fantasy. Doesn't add much in the yak department. Not very agile. Again, these are all knocks against him, and that's kind of why I think he's going to go lower in the NFL draft, because not being able to stretch the field as much, not being able to really add in yak is definitely important for fantasy, but I don't think that it really hurts his profile too much. I think that these are all things that we can live with, and he can still be a productive fantasy receiver. And he also has the proven production. He has the type of profile I'm willing to bet on, where he was solid as a junior and then really broke out as a senior, which is fine, production-wise. And then just the size, 6'4", 215, where he also runs routes well. And I just love how much he uses his body. I think that will translate 1-for-1 to the NFL. And I think you're getting a guy that can be a really, really good producer. Now, heading over to my third player, we have Savon Williams, wide receiver out of TCU. And, Higgins has a good profile, but Williams is a freak. 6'5", 225, and he's also uber athletic. If you're familiar with Bruce Fieldman's freak list, in 2023, he ranked 56, which essentially looks into their background of how athletic were they in certain events, how much were they, cleaning, benching in the weight room, stuff like that. The man is just an absolute animal. Now, has fantastic speed, great with contested catches, very explosive, good leaping ability, and most importantly, this is why people like him, he's a versatile weapon. So they kind of use him like a Deebo Samuel. I think that's the type of upside that he, possesses. They can give him the ball, in the backfield. You can get him the ball. You just want to get the ball in his hands, and good things will happen with Savon Williams. So that's why I like him a lot. I will say the production has never been great. 11, and 6 touchdowns. As a senior, just a pretty mediocre stat line. Also, the hands are not very good. Not a great route runner, pretty underdeveloped there. Route trees, not, too much either. Struggles against press at times, even being that big. The releases are not great. Just very raw. I totally get it why people don't like him. I think he is a very raw and developmental prospect. But there's so much meat on the bone that I'm just willing to take a chance on Savon Williams. Now, the next guy on this list is going to be Fannon Jr. I honestly don't even want to put him here because I don't even view him as a sleeper. He's not in my 15, 18, 20 range. Fannon's a late first-round pick for me because he is my guy. He is the ultimate flag plant for me at Dynasty Trading Room. Tight out of Bowling Green if you're not familiar, if you haven't seen the mock draft video yet. But as a junior, posted one of the most ridiculous stat lines you will ever see. 117 catches, 1,555 yards, and 10 touchdowns. 6'4", 230. And while that is undersized, I get it. People are going to say that, he is a wide receiver. If he does measure in at that size, that's exactly what Brock Bowers is measuring in right now. So whatever you want to say about Fannon, you kind of have to shut your mouth and acknowledge that Bowers is playing at that same size. And I think that Fannon, again, it seems ludicrous to say it because he's from the MAC. Competition's not great. But when he played against good competition in Penn State and Texas A&M, he also dominated them. Anyway, I really think he has the upside to be a Brock Bowers, Travis Kelce-esque level receiver. If you watch the film, you'll get what I mean. That's why I'm showing it here. Unbelievable. Elite size, great speed, fantastic hands, the route running. He moves like a wide receiver, but he is big enough and does enough, alignment-wise to play tight end. He's a cheat code. He's going to be one of those power slots, which is why I'm comparing to Brock Bowers, at least versatility and alignment-wise. The issue with Fannon and why he's not going to go above Loveland and not going to go above Warren in these NFL mock drafts, which is going to hurt his draft capital and all of that, is he just can't block. I don't really need to go into the details and nuances. Just very poor. Now, he's also too small to play as a traditional tight end. Again, Brock Bowers is not a traditional tight end, and that's going to knock him down NFL teams' boards, which is going to make people panic because draft capital, fair enough, is important, does determine playing time to an extent, and he will have to be used right. If they put him in a situation where in order to run more routes and get on the field, he has to block, he's kind of screwed because he's not going to be able to do that in year one. I think that he does try. Like, I'm not saying that he will be a absolute zero in the blocking game. I think he will get more snaps as his career goes on. But definitely if they don't use him in that Brock Bowers, they don't use him in that power slot role and kind of just say you earn your reps by blocking, he will be screwed, to be honest, and that would be extremely tough. So need him to land in a good situation, I will say that, but the talent with Fannon is off the charts. And we'll wrap this list off with a quarterback. This is a very interesting call because I really hadn't even thought twice about this quarterback until, I have to find a QB4. You have Shedeur Sanders, you have Cam Ward, and Jalen Milroe even is so shaky at QB3. It's between Will Howard and Jackson Dart, and right now I have Will Howard. He has elite size, 6'4", 235, fifth-year senior, which is the profile part of it you don't like, but production was pretty solid at OSU this last year. 3,490 yards and 32 touchdowns. The other thing I really like about Howard and stuck out to me on tape was he's actually mobile and he can be a good rushing quarterback, which is important for fantasy. You know, when you're looking for a later round quarterback, I want a guy with rushing upside attached, and I think that's Will Howard. He's a little clunky, I will say that, but he does get the job done. Also ran for 351 yards, 9 touchdowns in 2023, and 165 yards, 7 rushing touchdowns in 2024. So again, I love that he's mobile in the aspect that he will provide on the ground for fantasy teams. Now, with Howard, he has a great arm strength, has shown some big-time throws. There's times where he'll put it perfectly. There are NFL-level throws on his tape. He's mobile, can get out of the pocket, make some throws. It's solid. It's just very inconsistent. The accuracy is inconsistent. The ability to make these NFL-level throws is inconsistent. The game-to-game issues are there. He's on a nice streak right now in the college football playoffs, which is kind of why I have him there, because he definitely had, great game against whoever it was before Michigan, absolutely terrible game against Michigan. But in the most important stage when he's playing these big defenses, he's stringing together games, which is kind of, helping ease that concern I had of him. And he also doesn't process at an elite level. Again, I don't think he's going to be anything crazy, but in such a weak quarterback class, when you're in a super flex format and you just want to get some value because the other players don't have any chance at being fantasy relevant in the first few years, and you just want to get a quarterback to see, if Will Howard hits, it's going to be a much better return investment than this random 4th or 5th round running back, I don't mind taking a shot at him at all. I think the profile, he has really good upside in my opinion. I think he has the tools, he has the size, he has pretty good speed as well, and that's all you can really ask for in this weak quarterback class when he's going to be going at the end of second rounds in 2025 Dynasty Rookie Mock Draft. So that's going to wrap things up. If you guys do enjoy this format, if you guys do enjoy this style, please let me know. It seemed like you guys did enjoy the mock draft though, and that Henderson video from me. But if you want to check out any more of my content, you can find them out on the page. If you want to check out any of our other analysts' work, they will also be on the page as well as we do specific player breakdowns. But again, really appreciate you supporting the channel and checking out this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe to support us, and I will see you guys in the next one.